going on, people? Welcome to United View and welcome to the preview for Manchester United's game in the Europa League against Real Betis. Time to bounce back. Time to move on. No negativity. It's time to put it behind us. We know what happened on Sunday, and there's a very bullish Marcus Rashford and Erik ten Hag in the press conference today. And I have to say, before I get into that, it's absolutely freezing here at Carrington. What I will say, noticed something very, very interesting. You guys would have seen the footage. It was a big group huddle. And I know that most, the training sessions do tend to start like that, with everyone gathering around and Erik ten Hag giving his instructions before the players go off for their first initial jog. But this was different. And obviously we know why. They were there for an extended time period. It was really silent. There was obviously all listening to one person speak. I assume and I imagine that is Erik ten Hag. And all the players huddled round. And it felt quite somber. It felt as if, you know what? We know what's happened. We've spoken about it. It's in the past. And this isn't their first training session since then. But it was still quite a poignant moment. And I've been here many times this season and watched and observed training sessions. It wasn't, for obvious reason, all coming out high-fiving, all laughing, etc., etc. It was a slow trot, and every single player went and shook every single coach's hand, as well as the management staff as well. So that was the first bit I want to start off with. And look, everyone's been laughing at us. The negativity's been out. The hounds have been out. People are out with the daggers. At the end of the day, this is what matters. The next game, the preparation for the next game, and bouncing back against what will be a tough opposition in Real Betis. They just come off a 0-0 draw with Real Madrid. And they look quite good. They look quite good value for it as well. But at the end of the day, we have to be on it. We have to bounce back. We've all called it a blip, or a lot of us have called it a blip. And some of you may have been worried after what's going to happen after that game on the weekend against Liverpool. But one thing we can say as Manchester United fans this season is that these lads there, these boys behind me, they've bounced back whenever there's been adversity. It was the same when it was Brentford. It was the same when it was Manchester City. Aston Villa wasn't as bad, but it was the same after that. It was the same after Arsenal. Every single loss that we've had, we've bounced back. And I know this is a different competition, but this should be no different. And also, we need to remember this is another competition. This is a two-legged tie where we've got the chance to go through to the next round of the knockout stages with a chance to win the Europa League. The same in the FA Cup that's coming up as well within the next week. The games are coming thick and fast. And actually, that's the best thing for us. When you suffer a defeat like that, Marcus Rashford spoke about it, it's time to move on. It hurts, but there's another game around the corner that you can hopefully put it right. It was interesting to hear the comments on Bruno. Definitely not surprised to hear Erik ten Hag come out and back his player, come out and say what Bruno does give us, all the good things that Bruno has done for the club. Because when the chips are down, that's when you need it. In our ascendancy, when we were doing well, everybody was fine with Bruno. Nobody was talking about he should be strict with the captaincy, And what happened has happened now. And you can tell, actually, what I did like about the press conference, actually, is you had to read between the lines. Obviously, publicly and rightly so, Erik ten Hag is never going to come out and criticise any of his players. And that's exactly how I think it should be. But let's read between the lines of what Erik ten Hag said in that press conference. He spoke about all the things that Bruno does well and all the things that he's been giving us and why he's so influential and why he's so important for us and why we love him so much. I say we. I know some of you guys in the comments have had different opposing views on that. I can speak for me. The reason why I love Bruno so much. He spoke about that. What Erik ten Hag also said, is that, of course, there's things you can do better. There's things you can learn from. But then he flipped it back to himself and said, I need to learn things. So make no mistake about it. And Marcus Rashford did the same thing. He waxed lyrical about Bruno, said how he loves playing with him, etc., etc. Said that the players didn't give up, defended his teammates. But also, again, reading between the lines, he said, sometimes you can do things that you don't mean, or sometimes you can do things that, you wish you'd done differently. But, so that little, you call it a shit sandwich. That's what was there. Starting with the good, then you got some of the bad mixed in the middle, and you gloss over that, and then you finish off with the positive at the end. And that's what I felt from that press conference. It wasn't just to avoid everyone of all accountability with what happened, but it was very much, okay, we'll talk about a little bit about the negative sides of it, but we're very much focused on moving forward. And make no mistake, this is a massive game for Man United. And actually, usually in European ties, you want the away leg first. You want to get that out of the way and get them back. But obviously there's no away goals. But actually, like I said, after what happened on Sunday, I think the best thing for us was a home game. The best thing for us was to be in front of our own fans for them to give the boys a lift. We all need to be behind this team, because I tell you what we won't do. We will not let a catastrophic result like that, which is one game, affect our progress. We can't let it happen. Erik ten Hag won't let that happen. And we're stronger than that. And I believe that we go and we show that against Betis. We show that against Southampton. Going to be difficult games. Of course they are. You know, Betis have come here to win. You know, they're a competitive side. They're doing fairly decent in La Liga. But at the end of the day, we need to put them to the sword, and we need to show that Sunday was just, a blip. This is where we start showing that it's a blip. And, for the likes of Bruno and actually the rest of the whole team, they're going to receive, obviously not heroes welcome, but they're going to receive a big reception from everybody in Old Trafford. And that's actually what they need. Yes, they need to do their part. They need to show the commitment and the desire and get back to what Erik ten Hag says, the rules and the principles of how to play for this club, how to play for this manager. The boys need to do that. They know that. The team needs to do that. The players need to show up. But we will do our part as fans, because we're not going to let, the hounds come out and all of a sudden we start feeling negatively about our team and thinking that the house is on fire when it just absolutely isn't. Do you know what I mean? One thing I did notice, which is interesting, I don't know if you guys can see from here, is Anthony Martial is back in training. He's training with the first team. That could have been from yesterday, it could have been from the day before, but I know last week when I was here for the Barcelona training session, he was training over there by himself. So fast forward a week, it's good to see him back with the full squad. Be interesting to see if he is available. What else is interesting is how does Erik ten Hag respond with the team selection in terms of for this game? In my opinion, and what I think will happen, I think he goes as strong as possible and puts out the same team that he would always have put out in this game, because it's a knockout game in the next phase of the Europa League. And we've worked so hard to get here by beating Barcelona that you don't get to the next stage and rest players. Now, don't get me wrong, if people got knocks, if people were tired, yes. But I don't think Erik ten Hag uses this game personally to discipline players, or to say this player shouldn't play, or to make a statement against this player that he shouldn't play. I think Erik rolls out exactly the same sort of team that we've been seeing. Maybe there might be a change here or there. We're not sure about Casemiro. Casemiro is there, but in terms of is he good enough to start, we'll see, because there was some talks about him maybe being an injury doubt. He is there, and that's how I think Erik ten Hag will play this. We can't get to change squads. We can't get to just use it as a punishment. Say this player doesn't play, this player doesn't play. The best form of medicine is to say, listen, guys, get back out there and get back to our rules and principles and get back to winning football matches. And that starts from tomorrow night. So that is me done here at Carrington. However, I'll be taking a trip to Old Trafford to sneak in. I won't be sneaking, I've been invited. So let's get that straight. But we're going to be at the Real Betis training session as well, and we'll be in the press conference with Manuel Pellegrini as well. We'll see what he has to say and keep you guys updated about that as well, because like you said, there is a whole other team that we've got to play. We can focus on ourselves, and that's what we've got to do, but we can't take Betis for mugs. We have to be ready, and we have to be ready to put in a top performance. So I'll see you guys at Old Trafford. See you there. Peace. It's freezing. Yes, people, as promised, from Carrington straight to Old Trafford. Well, not straight to Old Trafford, a bit of a break in between. But I have to say, it is nowhere near as cold as it was earlier, and the swirling winds and straight up snow in the middle of Carrington. That was absolutely freezing. It's not too bad now, but Betis are training behind me. We've been in the press conference and listened to Manuel Pellegrini, and I tell you what, they ain't come here to play. He ain't come here to play. He had a little bit of a glint in his eye. They asked him about, obviously Manchester United coming off the back of that 7-0. As ex-Manchester City manager, how did that make you feel? He said, I watched the first half where it was 1-0. I didn't see the other 6 goals. Then that made me angry. But he said, yes, obviously I was happy. But he's also in agreement that, or understanding that just because we lost 7-0, that doesn't mean that they're going to face the same Manchester United. He also went on to say that they don't feel inferior by coming to play Manchester United. I think Simon Stone asked him the fact that the Betis aren't Barcelona, the fact that Betis aren't Real Madrid. Do you think Manchester United will underestimate them? He said, basically, I don't really care about that. Manchester United finished second in the group with Real Sociedad. So if Real Sociedad can do well against Manchester United in 2 games, so can we. And he's right. We have to bounce back. This is a hungry team. Yes, they've got some players missing, got some players out for injury and suspensions. Joaquin was talking in the press conference. Honestly, I forgot. I didn't even realise it was him. He's 41. Joaquin, and he's still in the squad, which is absolutely unbelievable. I remember years ago he was close to going to Chelsea, and one of the top wingers in Europe at one stage. Joaquin, he used to be a baller. But some of the Spanish press have told me actually he's still pretty handy. But they've listen. My point is they've come here to play, they've come here to win, and they've come here to get a positive result to take back to Betis. And it just reinforces the point that we made earlier that Erik ten Hag was talking about, and Marcus Rashford, that you guys saw in the presser. We got to be on it. We got to be on it, man. We have to prove that Sunday was a blip. This is a Betis team that just come off the back of a draw against Real Madrid, but they played well in that game. I watched the extended highlights. That was an end-to-end game. They had chances, and they won't be scared coming here. And they're gonna. I know I said about smell blood before the Liverpool game. I shouldn't even use that phrase anymore. I'm scarred by it, but that is the truth. This is a team that potentially they're going to look to exploit any weakness of us kind of suffering a hangover from that Liverpool game. So we need to be absolutely on it. So smash the like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Drop your predictions, your predicted lineup in the boxes below as well. Actually, let me give you my predicted lineup really, really quickly before I go. I'm going to go David De Gea in goal. I think Wan-Bissaka comes back in. I think he goes Varane and Martinez and Shaw. As usual, I think he goes Casemiro and Fred with Bruno. And up front, does Jadon Sancho come back in? I'm going to mix it up a bit. I think he goes Sancho on the left, Rashford up front, and Anthony on the right. Let me know what you guys think. We are out of here from Old Trafford, and it's a lot warmer. Peace.